Hey, folks, if you're just joining, we're going to get started in just a couple of minutes, just waiting on people to trickle in. Ready to go, Andy?
Yeah, good to go.
All right. Thanks for joining, everybody, for another edition of Ask Us Anything with Andy and I. We're excited to give you some company updates and some resources and answer any questions you might have at the end. If you do have any questions and you're joining from Zoom or Facebook or YouTube, feel free to put them in the Q&A box or the chat box, whatever you're watching on, and we will get to them either as we go through or at the end when we have dedicated Q&A. Without further ado, Andy, do you want to kick us off on some product updates?
Yeah, sure. So first thing is SSO to talk about. This just came out in our newsletter today. It is going into early access December 5th. Now, we promise that's coming to both the core and the team plan, and it is. When it comes out December 5th, it will be in early access. The only limiting aspect to it that's not available yet is mobile support. So if you access the Syncro web app through a mobile browser, it will work fine. The native mobile app will not. Once that functionality is completed, then it will come out of early access. But anybody wanting to use it before then, it's going to be in everybody's Syncro instance prior. Starting December 5th, just go in your admin settings and you'll be able to turn it on. And then let me share my screen for the rest. Everything else I'm going to show you is live today. Can you turn on sharing, Ian?
Yeah. Go for it.
Cool, thanks. All right. So first thing is Splashtop SOS, not to be confused with SSO. This is a pan add-on that we just brought online about 3 weeks ago. And it's pretty simple. This is for attended ad hoc sessions, meaning the end user does not need the Syncro agent installed. They don't need the full-blown Splashtop agent installed. This is for single-use sessions. If you go in the App Center of your Syncro instance and look for Splashtop SOS, this is what you're going to see. It's a $18 a month fee per technician, and you can turn it on or off for any technician at any time. And once it's enabled, what you'll see is a new setting in this new menu here that says Splashtop SOS session. Once you engage this, this is where you're going to send your end user, and you can copy the link and send it off in an email or a ticket if you wanted to. It's a one-time run executable. It's not a full installable file, and it will pop up a 9-digit code that they'll give you. You enter it in here, and you'll just start your session. And from there, it will behave exactly like regular Splashtop sessions do. If you reboot the session, it will automatically reconnect. The only difference is that this is for a one-time use session. So if the end user ends the session or you end the session, that code will die and you'll have to basically start a new session from there. This is now available in all Syncro accounts. Next is this applied policy report. Folks have been asking for this for a long, long time. Basically what this will do is use cases, hey, I tried to delete a policy that I was finished with and it said I couldn't because it existed in some assets policy, but I don't know exactly where it was. So this will now let you filter by customer, by a saved asset search, and then you can select a single policy. And this will show you what endpoints have this policy applied. Now, this works obviously in conjunction with policy inheritance. So what this is really saying is the Acronis backups policy applied anywhere in an endpoint's policy inheritance structure, meaning any of those 5 or 6 policies that you can merge together to form what we call the effective policy. So I found 2. So I could go to each one of these and quick link over to them and remove this policy if it's something I no longer wanted to use anymore. So this is, again, available to all Syncro accounts. Next, this has been asked for quite a while also. We get a lot of intake to support from folks saying, hey, can I get old Syncro invoices, or I can't find my previous Syncro invoice history. So we added this into the platform. If you go in your admin settings and then you go in the account profile here, we added this subscription invoices button. And when you click it, this is going to be like full insight into all of your payments. Now, this is Syncro's invoices to you, the MSP, not your invoices to your customers. It's going to show you what plan you're on, how many users, what you're paying, when it renews. Full list of your invoices down here at the bottom with buttons to download those if you want PDF versions of them. You can change your billing information here if need be, and also if you need to change the email that these are going to go to, you can do that here as well. And then last thing from my end is this came out of our community-driven development track. Super good suggestion. This is our vulnerable systems report. And what this does is it shows you every endpoint that's missing patches. And then you can go in and filter it by customer or remove stale assets, or even say, hey, I just want to see critical updates. What it couldn't do was take a subset of your fleet and say, I only care about these in this moment in time. And the ask was, look, I set text to make sure that all my servers have critical updates. This is something that we check frequently. We check much less frequently for our workstations. So you had to really sift through this to find your servers specifically, especially if they weren't named something with server in there. You didn't exactly know what they were. So we added this saved asset search here. So now it's pretty easy just to pop your servers and filter this list accordingly. So this too is now available to all Syncro accounts. And Ian, I think you've got one more to go over, right?
Yep, I have one more. So we sent out an email about this, I want to say yesterday, but I'm excited to announce a new partnership and integration with Comet Backup. So obviously we already have a Acronis, but now you can use Comet as well if you want. If you go to the app card in the App Center, you can provision a Comet account, and that will basically send you an email, and then you can log in and start provisioning Comet for your clients. This is billed through Syncro. And so we will bill you for this. It'll be part of your Syncro invoice. So there's a consolidation of your billing there that makes that a little easier. But in addition to that, Comet has been nice enough to build an integration that is between Syncro and Comet exclusively for people who buy Comet through Syncro. So if you're buying Comet through us, you get an integration. And what that integration does is here, and I'm going to share this knowledge base article that is now live in the chat. It basically creates RMM alerts for any issues that are found, for example, for failed backups, things like that. And that's configured on the Comet side in your Comet server. And so it can create RMM alerts for anything you should know about. And you can see the instructions for how to do that there. This is now live and ready for folks to use. I'm going to put that chat there and I'll post it in YouTube as well. Okay, so that is all of the news we have about product stuff. I have one more. Oh, yeah. Andy, back to you.
Yeah, so we were doing a Black Friday promotion, which is pretty nice this year. Sometimes it's only for new customers. This year, we wanted to make sure that we hit existing customers as well. Today's the last day of that promotion. So I just wanted to remind anybody that if you are on the core plan, we have a promotion. If you go under an annual subscription, you can get the team plan for the price of the core plan. So it's like a $50 a month discount per user, something like that. So you can do that right in your Syncro instance. You don't have to do anything special. You can just go in there and switch your plan to the core, the team annual. It actually has the 129 price in there, same as the core under an annual. And yeah, today's the last day to do it. So if you're interested in that, make sure you take advantage of that today, because it definitely goes away today.
Okay, a couple more announcements. We like to showcase some of the resources that we're putting on. So in this case, some webinars. If you go to our website, you go under here, you can go to like a webinars, and you'll see some of these that are coming up. we have a couple things that I just wanted to highlight. We're doing these grow workshops. There's 2 days of them next week. They're virtual webinars. I'm going to click into day 1 just so you can see there's really, really good content here. Highly encourage folks to check it out. On day 1, we've got What's New in Syncro with Emily, our CEO, and Kristen, our Chief Product and Technology Officer. So if you want to know what's coming in 2024, etc., this is a great one to attend. There's networking, so you can meet other MSPs. We've got a talk with Brad Gross about managed service agreements and unlocking more there. We've got a talk with Brian Johnson about business growth, and then again, more networking. So that's day 1. We've also got day 2. So we've got a talk about website marketing with Mark Koopman, LinkedIn marketing with Paul Green, and then hiring with David Stinner, and lastly, operations with Carl Palachuk. There's a giveaway for folks who attend. So this is all, free for you and a good resource. Hopefully folks are able to grow their businesses and learn something new as a function of that. But just wanted to highlight that. Again, when I'm done going over these resources, I'll post all the links. But if you just go to resources and then webinars, you'll see that on our website. Next up, we've got the last Acronis Cyber Protect certification webinar on December 12th at 2 Eastern. That's with Andy. Andy, is there anything you want to say about that?
No, same as the last one. If you get a chance to see this one, it's basically an end-to-end training of sorts. And when you're done, they'll point you where to go so you can get officially certified with Acronis. So this is definitely one. If you're thinking about Acronis, you want to join. If you're already on Acronis, definitely bring your techs and have everybody get certified.
Sweet. Last but not least, we released a report about MSP pricing plans and models. So if you're wondering, am I price too low? Am I price too high? What are other people doing in terms of their pricing strategies? This is a free report you can check out, and you can just go to the website. So now that we've made it through all of these things, I'll post the links to all of these. Hopefully they're helpful for folks.
I think you guys will like this pricing plan, Doc. There's a lot of data in this, and I get asked this constantly by folks. So I think people are going to like what they see here. A lot of data.
Yep. And that is the end of our announcements. So the rest of the time we have reserved for Q&A. Andy, do you want to take some stuff while I post these links?
Yep. Ricardo from LinkedIn is asking, will Syncro develop an app for Windows? Ricardo, I'm going to assume you mean maybe like an actual Windows app for a technician. If that's what you mean, no. It'll just be accessible through the web app like it is today. It's a little bit easier to manage that way. But if there's something specific you'd like to see in a Windows app that you're not seeing in your web app, let me know. Let's see. Daniel's asking, if you subscribe to the team plan, can you fall back to the core plan later? Yeah, and if you're monthly, you can go back and forth between one and the other, and it will let you know if there's functionality that you're going to lose access to. It'll let you know specifically what that is prior to making that change. Nathan says, as an Aussie user, love the timing of these webinars we can actually partake in. Yeah, we definitely took that into consideration when we were timing these. Glad you can make it, Nathan. All right, Ian's dumping the links into the chat. So if you guys check the Zoom chat, all the links to all those resources are he's putting them out there. I'm going to skip the first one, Ian, because I know that's probably for you.
Yeah.
Craig's asking, what if I already paid for our yearly plan? Craig, just email me directly and we can see if there's something we can do for you there. It's andy@syncromsp.com. Manuel, same thing as well. Same answer to you.
I can take this first one about the licensing.
Yeah, perfect.
So Jake is asking, has the license reporting for the Syncro team plan, I'm assuming in Azure AD, been fixed to correctly report on advanced license types like Exchange Online, Teams calling, etc.? So what we did, first of all, we have added a bunch of the other plans, but if something still isn't showing up, it's quite easy for us to add it. What we need is for you to basically tell us like which contact it's not syncing the license for, and we can then go do a lookup in our audit logs and find out what license they have, and we can basically get it put into the dropdown for you. and we only have to do it once per type of license. So if you're seeing something not show up properly, just email us and let us know that it's not showing up properly, and our product team can work on getting that added. It's quite easy now. It was not when we first launched it, but it is easy now.
Let's see. Havana is asking, are there any plans to allow the addition of ticket tags during ticket creation? That's supported today in the team plan. So basically in the team plan, you have the ability to run a ticket automation when a ticket is created, and you can add tags to it there based on whatever criteria you want. So that is something that you can do today. Kim's asking, I'm pretty new to Syncro. I was hoping there was a way to track time without creating a ticket. There's not. Can you give me an example, Kim? Normally, the best practice would be to, even if it's just internal time, like I have a tech working on the script or whatever, it's normally a best practice to have everything logged into tickets, even if it's not going to be billable time, because all the reporting will work around that as well. So let me know what you're thinking there, but that's, I probably would suggest doing a ticket.
Got a comment from Harold. I would like to have more info about this topic. I feel it would be beneficial to implement modern authentication, especially with MFA being a needed security measure. We do have MFA, it's required. We also, like Andy mentioned, we have single sign-on as well. And we recently released global IP allow lists. So there's quite a few things we have in terms of modern authentication, but if there's something in particular you're wondering about, Harold, feel free to comment. Another question here from Gord. We have integrations to Hoodoo, and I'm wondering if there's a way to pull from to have Syncro pull or Hoodoo push the 365 licenses we have synced in Hoodoo. Hoodoo built that integration. It wasn't us. So I think if you're wanting a change to that integration, you're probably going to want to talk to Hoodoo about it.
Nathan's asking, is the white screen of death on the iOS app being worked on? If that's a bug you're seeing, first I suggest open a ticket. If there already is one open, I'll try to find out that for you. That may be related to Face ID, actually. I remember hearing something about that, so I'll take a look and I'll see what I can find there, Nathan. Okay, so that's good. Vaughn is asking, is there any updates on the patch management front, specific pain points, seeing and dealing with Windows version updates like 22H2, 22H3? On that point, there are scripts in our community library for handling that. The problem there is that Microsoft doesn't allow RMMs to accept the EULA via the API. So there's no way to do those like programmatically through the API. So scripting is the only way. At some point, you may see us try to make internal scripts and make that look a little bit more native. But I don't think there's any plans for that right now. Second one is third-party patching for patched apps that are open and running during the third-party patch runs. Ian, I haven't heard this before. Will it just fail to update in that instance?
Ooh, it's going to depend on the app. But I haven't tested that in a very long time. So I think it depends on the app. Some apps can't be updated while they're running. Yeah.
I think the one thing I'd probably suggest there is that you could schedule a script to fire off a little bit before that. So like if you're updating Chrome and for whatever reason, I think that does update while it's open, but in the event it didn't, you could just kill the process if that's what you wanted to do and then do it again. That or run it through it at nighttime.
Yeah.
Kim's asking a follow-up. My techs are on the go and do not like having to create tickets, and also wondering for internal time tracking. So yeah, Kim, there's not a way to track time outside of tickets. But like I said, even for internal time tracking, I would still look at doing it on tickets. You have the ability to say like, hey, this time is charged or not charged. You can also make labor types for internal time that wouldn't be charged by default. And again, that way it's going to sync up with all your reports. So like at the end of the week or the end of the month, you want to say, hey, show me all the time that was logged by my techs. I want to make sure I'm getting 40 hours a week out of them or 90% utilization, whatever you're targeting. You wouldn't be able to do that if it was outside of tickets.
I mean, I would, yeah. They probably don't want to hear this, but I would make them create a ticket.
Yeah, it's definitely best.
Even if they don't like it. But because if you can't track it, it didn't happen. So I mean, I would probably do that. If you really don't want to do that, there are a bunch of like time clock in, clock out type apps, like in the iOS store. You can always go use those. Toggle is one that we have an integration with. Um, yeah.
Joe says, I've activated Acronis and added a customer, but nothing is set to back up. But I'm getting billed a license. Is there a way to see what customer exactly I'm getting billed for from Acronis? There is. In the Acronis portal, there's a usage report. It will tell you exactly what customers are consuming licenses or how much data they're consuming. So if you deploy a license, even if you're not backing up, you obviously won't get charged for any data, but you will get charged for that license. So my guess is you activated a workstation and just don't have a backup plan on it. So check that report. That should get you what you need.
Got a follow up from Gord regarding the licenses from Hoodoo. Um, I hear so Gord is wanting to bill in Syncro based on the Azure, the Microsoft 365 license. That's kind of the point of the Azure AD integration we built. So you don't need Hoodoo for that. You can go ask Hoodoo to build that into their integration, but you could just use the Azure AD integration that we built. That's kind of the whole point of it.
Josh is asking, within a ticket, how do I build the same service at different rates based on the tech? In the example, plan service for Bob is billed at $50 an hour and Jim is billed for $60 an hour. So in that instance, what I would recommend is creating a labor type. So let's just say it's on-site labor. I would create a labor type for each technician, like on-site labor for Bob, on-site labor for Jim. And that way, when they're going to go do it, that you could have custom prices for each. And then if this is like their primary labor type that they're going to use the majority of the time, if you go in the admin settings under their user, you can actually set a default labor type. So it would always default to like Bob's labor or something like that when he goes to enter a ticket. He could always change it, but that would be the default. So Josh, that's how I would handle that one. I don't actually know the answer to this, Ian. Craig's asking, is there a specific reason the Syncro services are set to a delayed start by default? Takes a long time to connect after a reboot. I have changed this setting to automatic on some and it works great, but want to make sure there's no issues. This was done before I was here, so I actually don't know. Had to go back a while.
Yes. There I have to go way back in my brain to like 2015. There are reasons. I'm blanking a little bit on the exact reason. Most apps in general have a delayed start. It's just a matter of what order they go in and how long the delay is. If I recall, there were some issues with like antiviruses. If you started too early, some processes would get killed. And I think we wanted to wait till all the other applications had loaded so that when we run the sync, it actually pulls all the processes and things like that. But it's been a long time. So I don't remember exactly. I could ask Garrett. He would know.
Yeah, for sure. Okay. An anonymous user says, in regards to adding time to a ticket, rather than setting a time window that you worked on an issue in the time log, is there a way to add the amount of time worked, like 75 minutes? So let me share my screen here. I think I know what you're talking about. So basically, the answer is no when you're doing it here, like in a time log. You would have to put your start and end time. I think that's a really good suggestion to switch this and just say, hey, put in 65 minutes or whatever. You can do it though when you are putting in your time down here. You can just say, hey, it was 75 minutes. So really, if you're timing something and you're not using the timer, just like I did 75 minutes of work, it's actually easier just to put it down here, set the labor type. And you can determine whether or not you want to charge it also same time. But we have had a lot of requests specifically down here for putting in like the start time and the end time specifically, because otherwise, if you did this work earlier in the day, this 75 minutes is going to get logged as the next 75 minutes, which can be confusing to folks. But yeah, if you're doing it here, unfortunately, no, but I will raise that internally. I think that's a good suggestion. Any plans for updated mobile app? Do you have any news on that, Ian?
Um, I've heard folks talking about it. I don't know specifically. I can ask.
Okay, and I know you'll probably that would be a good question to ask in that grow session on. I don't know if it's the 6th or the 7th, but we're Emily and
Yeah,
Kristen speaking. I'm sure they'll have some news on that probably.
yeah. That's the right. If you join that session, that's the right place to ask.
Is there an ETA for adding the feature request asset online indicator for customer portal? There's not, Will. That one's not one that is on the roadmap currently, to my knowledge. But let me know what the use case is specifically for that. Like, is there a reason that the customers want to look and know if a particular endpoint's online from the portal? I'm kind of curious the use case there.
Got a question here from, oops, wrong one. Got a question here from Cody. What is the best way to set specific rates or discounts by customer? So the best way to do that is through contracts. So if you go here, I have made a contract for this customer in my demo account, and you can go and pick any product. So in this case, like remote labor has been overridden. The price is $0. So we're not charging this customer for remote labor, but I could pick, I don't know, I'm sure there's a laptop here. Lenovo laptop, this is the current price, but I can say, you know what, you get your laptop half off or whatever, so $600. And you can add an override. Once you apply this contract to that customer, then when that thing shows up, it will be like crossed out with the contract price instead.
Yeah, and we get a lot of questions on this too. For folks that have like hybrid contracts where it's like mostly ACE, you can set your labor rates to 0 so you can still track that time, but not bill the customer anything. And then if you've got like emergency labor after hours is billed at a certain rate, you could set that custom price there too.
And I'll share the knowledge base article for contracts, just in case you're curious.
Aaron's asking, is there a way to set a customer contact that can approve tickets? For example, if an employee wants something done, the boss gets charged for it, so the boss has to approve or deny it. Not on a ticket directly. You could on like an estimate. So if you want to throw an estimate for work, you could have the boss approve it, but on a ticket directly, there's not. I think that's an interesting idea. Aaron, do me a favor, email me because I'd like to talk to you about that more, how you're envisioning that. So just email me at andy@syncromsp.com. We can discuss that some more. Any plans to expand site address to be able to print reports by site address, bill by site, etc.? So Jack, right now, no, but I've been actually having this conversation a lot with different folks. Let me know if this would suit your needs. I'm kind of envisioning sites being like an object that would fall underneath customers. So you could have, Office 1, Office 2, not just an address. It would almost be like a sub customer, have all that information, but it would apply per site. You'd have your endpoints by site. You'd have the contacts that work at the site. You'd also have the ability to bill to a specific site and say, hey, it's going to go to this separate billing person or pass it through to the parent. Let me know if that's what you're talking about, because it's starting to come up more and more. So I do think that'll become a bigger discussion going forward.
Got one here from Brian. Are there any plans to make the columns in a report sortable? I mean, I think it's going to depend on the report, but I will say most of the reports you can export to CSV, and if you open it in Excel, you can sort it however you want.
Yeah, and if you check out our, it doesn't apply to every report, but if you look at our internal and executive summary reports, all of the list blocks and stuff in those are fully customizable, sortable, and configurable. Yeah, Jack's saying that's exactly what he wants. So yeah, Jack, I would put that in our feature request category. The community forums, ping me on it. I think that's definitely a discussion that needs to keep happening for sure. Let's see. Vaughn says, if you have Syncro set to round time on a ticket for billing.
Yeah, I got this one.
Oh, yeah, go ahead.
Okay, so this only happens on the 15-minute roundup. If you set it to 30 minutes or an hour, it won't do that. The reason is because 15 out of 60 is like a infinite decimal. And so, but in the quantities, or like you only have 2 decimals in a price. So essentially, here's what I would recommend. Don't round up to 15 minutes, round up to 30 minutes, and all of this will get solved. That's my personal suggestion. It's because of the number 15. So.
And then Ian, or is there anything else in the Facebook or YouTube? I'm not seeing those.
I don't think so.
All right. All right, we're gonna give it a couple more minutes. We're running low on questions. If you folks got more, now's the time to ask them.
Did you get this one from Josh?
We
Did I
did.
accidentally click answer live?
Yep, that's why.
Okay.
It's still there.
All right.
Joe's asking, is there a way to get a report for tech remote sessions? There is two ways to do that, I believe. Give me a second here. Pull up my screen. On executive summary reports, let's see. I believe there is a block for this. Let's see. I'm gonna have to find it. It's somewhere in here. There's remote access sessions, and you'll be able to report on that. And then the other place is also in reports. The asset activity audit. Yeah, you can go in there and let's see, asset activity audit. And there'll be one for a remote session started. And then pretty much anything else you need is here. So you can just filter, by that there. And that'll be by technician and by asset as well.
Harold's asking about bring your own SMTP with modern auth. I'm not actually that up to date on that. I think Bobby would probably be the right person to talk to. If you want to email Andy, maybe Andy can CC Bobby into that.
Yeah, and I just saw stuff getting kicked around about that recently about putting OAuth and other stuff in there. So yeah, shoot me an email and I'll try to get some more information for you.
Yeah. Elliot says, oh, where was anonymous attendee says, where was the subscription invoice button for Syncro? It's in the account profile page in admin. Yep. So if you go into the admin page and then click account profile, you'll see it. It's like top right. Aaron says a bit off topic, but has anyone heard of Waza for SIM? Yes, I've heard of it. I think it's a fork of OSSec. I want to say, yeah, I've looked at it. It's cool. I think that in order to get all the functionality, though, I think they have a paid version. Christian says, can you do a quick run through on prepaid labor?
Yep. So second. All right. So there's a KB. Ian, can you find the KB and throw it in the chat? Cool. So once you've got it basically turned on for prepaid labor, you're going to go into your invoices, your recurring invoices. And I'm just going to bring up one that's probably not for this, so you'll see some other stuff here. But what you'll do is you're basically going to add a line item, and it's going to be for prepaid labor. Actually, I don't have this item in here, but it would normally say prepaid labor. And then you'd add how many ever you want here. Just assume this is it. You'd say, okay, I'm going to add 10 of these. And this is going to be every single month, it's going to add 10 hours of prepaid labor. This is assuming we're doing like a, sorry, I'm blanking here. A normal prepaid contract.
Yeah, like block hours.
Yeah, sorry, I don't know why block hours is leaving my mind here. And there's two ways to do it. If you want this to keep adding every single month and it's just going to deduct every month when you use that labor type, you can do that. Or if you want to wipe it at the end of every month, if you do this, before this invoice fires, if they've got 7 hours left this month, it's going to wipe them out, start them new as soon as this invoice fires with 10. And if you ever want to know how many hours somebody has left, if you go, sorry, my instance is a little slow here. If you go into a customer record, what's going on here? There'll be a listing for, I think it says prepay hours here. And if you ever want to just manually add some, you can actually do that if you just need to credit somebody some hours. But you'll always see the amount that's going to be deducted from here. And then the only other thing that you might want to do is in your contract, a lot of times for those type of contracts, you're going to have it say, okay, you get 10 hours a month, and even though our normal rate is $100 for labor, anything that you go over that 10 in a month is going to get billed at 50. That goes back to what Ian was showing you, when you go in the contract and you say your labor type is $50. As you run through your prepay, it's going to override it to 0. If that runs out in any given month and they go over that, it'll start billing at that $50 rate. Let me know if you have any questions off that, but that's kind of the gist of how that runs.
Question, are there any plans to allow time roundup per ticket and not per time entry? I've never heard anyone ask for that.
I haven't either. I think as of today, probably not. I will say the one thing that we are just kicking around internally, not that specifically, but it was being able to say different labor types round up differently. So right now it's like a global roundup, but you may, like as an example, if you say, okay, everybody that does an on-site service, you have to bill for a minimum of an hour. So you go there 30 minutes, would automatically round to an hour. But if you're doing remote support, you might want to round that up to 5 minutes. I think that one you're probably likely to see coming here at some point, but let me know why you're interested in doing that per ticket versus based on like different labor interactions. I'm kind of curious there.
Do you see this one in the YouTube comment about Bitdefender endpoints?
I can't see it.
Currently my Bitdefender endpoints run me $510 a month. For $550 to get to the next pricing tier, so I could pay $40 more per month for that pricing. I need to add 100, whatever. Long story short, email Andy about your Bitdefender pricing.
Yeah, we'll get you started.
Manuel says, where can I find all the invoice variables that can be used? I search and I get them all over the place. You mean in the invoice templates? I'm guessing. You got this, or you want me to do it?
No, go ahead. But Manuel, if you want to answer a follow-up, what? Oh, I know what you're talking about. So there's just 6 there. It's current month, last month, next month, and it's also for a year. So just like you have it there, and you can put that in the line item basically of your recurring invoices. He's talking about the thing to denote like the month. So you could say like January service, February service automatically. So here,
yeah, there's current month here.
Yeah, and you would just throw that in the line item. So like if you want to say, you know, if you have like an annual license and you want to say for 2023, you could do current year or next year, however you're going to invoice that out. So yeah, we added those recently.
Yep. Yeah, but they should all be listed here on the right, and you can even search.
You have anything else on YouTube or Facebook?
We got a qualifier here on the allowing time roundup per ticket. It's more to have a minimum per ticket. So in a situation where you're working on a server and run some updates to do a reboot, then stop the timer and then go back. There's no need to round each of those 10 minutes.
Oh, okay. That's okay. So that's a little bit of a dumb thing that we just don't allow you to do right now, which is like, I'm doing some work, I'm getting distracted, I need to come back and do more of the same work. And if you're using the timer and stop it, you're really logging 2 time entries. So you're right. Good news is we are adding the ability to pause ticket timers. So that should go away. And normally when you've got active timers, it'll appear at the top. So you can see a list of active timers. You'll now also be able to see a list of pause timers, so you don't forget to ever bill them. That should be out by the end of the year. I actually think it's like a couple weeks away. That's being discussed right now. So yeah, I think that will solve that for you, hopefully. But yeah, unfortunately, right now it will round up twice, which I understand why you were asking that now.
I just stopped a timer on this demo account that's 7,753 hours. So you can round that up.
Joe's saying, I just went to switch from core to team and it says team is 2148. Joe, if you look at the you're going to want to switch to team annual. That's what the promo is for, not team monthly. So it should be 129 times 12, which I think is what, 1548? Yeah.
Jack says, is there a way to make sure the Syncro icon is in the system tray? Sometimes it disappears. Well, it shouldn't disappear. So if you're seeing it disappear, let us know and we can look into it by looking at the logs. I will say that the Syncro system tray icon is run by a specific process um, um, and service, and you shouldn't have to do this. They should just, again, you should just submit a ticket. But oftentimes restarting that service will help. But
Oh, sorry, I just got a quick note. I'm going to throw this in the chat. Hannah, our director of partner success, just reminded me, I just threw the link in there. There is implementation webinars that you all can sign up for. So for the folks asking about the right way to set up like your billing or block hour contracts, thank you, I can remember that term all of a sudden. However you want to set it up, all of that stuff is going to be included in there. So if anyone just needs a refresher, you've got a new tech you want to send through there, whatever it is, that's now available to folks. So I threw the link up there in the chat. Anonymous user saying, oh, that was the same one. Okay. Cody says, is there a pre-built report for ticket work summary filtered by customer with each ticket time spent description? I think there's a couple different ways to do that. Cody, one thing you can do is, if you're looking for a specific customer, you could do an internal summary report or internal report builder. Look for the list block. You could throw tickets in there, put it to a specific customer or a specific save search. And then there is I think it's time by, let's see, time by technician. Yeah. And let me share my screen here so you can see what I'm seeing. And I'm pretty sure it's this here. So I'm the only one on here that has anything within this time frame. This will be like a link back to the ticket, the notes on the ticket. You can even, it's kind of cool if you have an approved post process that you're running and you're using this report to do it, you can actually charge time if it wasn't billed for any reason, or you can also uncharge it if it's not applicable. So this is another one that you could do, depending on what you're looking for. Let's see. Okay, Joe, if there's an issue with that, just I just checked my instance too, and it's showing the right price for me. So just shoot me an email, Andy@syncromsp.com, and I'll get you sorted on the promo piece.
Question. Any plans to add the ticket description, not the title, to be up on the top of a ticket and not all the way at the bottom as the first note on a ticket? Not to my knowledge, but I haven't really heard many. I think the issue is you can submit tickets in many ways, so that could be quite long. Anyway, but yeah. I think if you want to, that's probably a good one to put in the community forums.
For sure. And I think the one thing that's getting kicked around is that there's a lot of data that you look at before you actually see the ticket comments, and the first comment being all the way at the bottom.
Mm-hmm.
So I do understand what you're asking for. It would be nice if there was a way to kind of highlight that, especially when I know some of the descriptions you guys get sucked from customers when it comes in. It's like not descriptive at all, doesn't have anything to do with what they're talking about. So I totally understand what you're asking for. It's a good suggestion.
Yep. Is there a way to allow customers to add ticket severity to the system tray form?
Say that again?
Is there a way to allow customers to add ticket severity to the system tray form?
Oh, no, you can basically set, like if you have one, you can have multiple forms on there and you can set the ticket criteria on the back end of the policy. There's not a way to say they can set the severity per se, at least not as of today. So yeah, if you want to see that, throw that into the feature request section of our community forum. Vaughn's asking ability to manually pin ticket comments. Yeah, so funny story on this one. We do this thing every year called Octacon, and every year we invite a couple customers on. It's like this week-long thing at Syncro, kind of like a virtual get-together. And this year we are like eating these gross candies and doing these different things with some MSPs while we were interviewing them. And so as a thank you, we gave folks a couple, like the go build your own quality of life type feature. And one of the folks we had on actually wanted that, so we're building it. So this is another thing that we expect to be out by the end of the year. So it will be basically, it will take a ticket comment one, and it will basically duplicate it at the very top of the list, so it's kind of pinned, almost like what some other folks there were asking about, moving the primary comment to the top. Similar suggestion to that. Tristan's asking, and Ian, this goes back a long time, so I don't know this one per se, but any plans to allow update if present to custom apps and third-party patch management? I like it's asked.
It's a technical limitation. How do I explain? We use Chocolatey as the backend to do the third-party patching, and Chocolatey can't tell if you have an app installed or not. So we had to build regular expressions into the third-party patching engine to tell if the app is installed or not. So what we could do is we could give you the ability to specify a regular expression to determine if the app is installed, but you'd have to do that. And I will say, as a person with a background in computer engineering, most people have a lot of trouble with regular expressions. So it is not, we could theoretically do that. I anticipate that it would be a very heavy burden for our support team. But we could maybe do simple ones, like if the text contains, and basically abstract the regular expression, but there's still going to be there's just a lot of edge cases. For example, a lot in the installed application name, a lot of them will say, like, I'm going to just pick on a random thing, Foxit Reader 4.2.1 or whatever, right? So it's going to be a different installed application name depending on the version. So there's a lot of gotchas in there that make it a little complicated. So for the ones where we have update if present, we have put in a regular expression for you, essentially. However, to Tristan's question here, yes, you can request for common apps to be added to the list, and that's easier for us to do. So go ahead and, yeah, you're welcome to do that. Submit on the community forums, and those are easier for us to add.
Craig's asking if if chat sessions are fully encrypted. So if a user needs a new password, could I chat it to them? That's a good question. I actually don't know the answer to that. I'll find out, Craig. I will say, though, that chat sessions are archived, and other techs, if they have rights, would be able to see the contents of those chat sessions. So if it's something that's like for their eyes only, it's probably better getting texted or calling or something like that. But I'll find out if it's end-to-end encrypted. That's a good question. I don't know.
I mean, it just depends on what you mean by fully encrypted. Like, the database is encrypted at rest. It's encrypted over SSL, but it's like, it's not encrypted in the way that Password Vault is encrypted. So I would agree with Andy. I think if you're going to do something sensitive there, a secret manager is a better tool to use.
I'm out on the Zoom questions. But do you have anything else on YouTube?
Yeah. Is there a way to set that SMS does not send an SMS when opening a new ticket by default if you have SMS enabled for that customer?
I don't think so. I think it would behave the same way that email does, where if you open a ticket and you have it set to email the initial issue by default, it would send out via SMS if it's enabled.
Well, it depends how you open the ticket, I think. If you open the ticket in Syncro, in the UI, like you're the one opening the ticket, I think you can uncheck the box. But I think if the customer's opening the ticket, that's different. But I think I'm not 100% sure.
But if you want to ask a follow-up there, I assume you mean there's just some that you don't want to happen, or maybe you don't want to go into a specific customer. What's the exact thing you're trying to solve there?
Is there a way to add custom forms via system tray icon?
You can't. That's what the agent contact forms are. So you could add as many as you want to that. So if you go in the policies section up in the top right, there's a drop down for the different policy types. Look for the agent contact form, and you can customize. You can't put a ton of custom fields, but you can customize the text that's there, the logo, what information is required. And it's not just one that's on there. If you want to have 5 different forms for a specific customer, you can do that. So for sure.
Okay. Think we're good. Thanks everybody for all the questions. I just want to reiterate, Andy, do you want to just say again the what Hana sent you? Because we're getting a lot of questions. I think it would be answered
Yeah.
by that.
So we're running regular implementation webinars that you can sign up for, and we put the link in the chat. And this is again, if you've got new texts that come on that you need to run through something, or you need a refresher, or just like this, where you need an outlet just to ask a question and have somebody run it through specifically, like to your specific need. This is a great way to get that done. So you can just register for these right on our website.
Yep. Cool. Well, thanks everybody. These are always a lot of fun, and really appreciate everybody joining, and have a